Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 is heading our way in early 2022, and having been tormented with Chapter 1 already, the only way for me to stop the impending sense of doom is to get answers about Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. I've delved deep into the lore of the first chapter already, so using that information, I've analysed the Chapter 2 teaser trailer, Playtime Company CCTV, and game secrets to bring you what we know so far about Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. There are spoilers in here for the first chapter, so beware. At the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 1, we, whoever the hell we even are, met Huggy Wuggy, ran away from Huggy Wuggy, killed Huggy Wuggy, discovered the Poppy Room, and woke Poppy up. The music playing during this section when you're trying to catch your breath and slow that rapid heart rate is called Deep Sleep, with the lullaby that plays in Poppy's room named, you guessed it, Poppy's Lullaby. Someone put her to sleep in this case a fair amount of time ago, judging by the peeling wallpaper and general dishevelled look of her quarters. On the way to Poppy, there's a half-hidden small door behind a wardrobe. Unlike the rest of Poppy's quarters, it looks decidedly modern rather than being made out of varnished wood or whatever, but has been uncovered by the shifting wardrobe. For whatever reason, wherever this door leads, it was meant to be secret. I'm betting that this door was there so that the Playtime Company scientists, or other high-level employees in the innovation department, can have a secret entrance to Poppy's room, to monitor her and make sure she's still in the case while maintaining the facade of her quarters being like a family home, hence the wallpaper, rocking horse and toy box. I find that decor fascinating, by the way. To me, it looks like someone is trying to convince Poppy that she's in a quaint family home or something instead of a factory. Gives me the impression that Poppy is worth placating, hence is probably very powerful indeed to warrant that amount of redecoration. Yet, despite the hints that Poppy is quite something, there's someone even she wants to warn you about. Her mummy.
Mommy doesn't like guests.
Judging by the fact that the instant you let Poppy out of her case, all the lights were cut, like some kind of security measure or system override, Mummy is summoned as a security precaution. Mummy is Poppy's captor/protector/guard by the sounds of it, if she's not too fond of quote-unquote guests like you. We've even heard her voice, I think. Listen to the end of the teaser trailer and keep an ear out for an older voice chiming in right at the end. So, who could Mummy be? There are a couple of possibilities here, namely Kissy Missy, Stella Graber, or some other unknown entity. I doubt it would be Elliot Ludwig or Leith Pierre, as they're both men and therefore you'd think Poppy would call them daddy, so Stella or Kissy Missy, or something/someone else entirely. Gonna lay all my cards on the table here and theorise that Stella is the one who was willingly put into Poppy Playtime, so she could be a child again in a kind of twisted way, as Stella isn't too fond of being an adult.
Sometimes though, I really wish I could go back. To being a kid, I mean. Human bodies just can't stay young forever.
Both Stella and Poppy are voiced by the same actor, so this does seem likely. Mind you, having one voice actor playing multiple roles is something done in loads of indie games, as it does save some money, so we could all be reading too much into it. But if that isn't the case, and Stella was instead the brains behind putting orphans or employees into toys, watch my video on Chapter 1 for that whole theory explained because it's a big one, she could definitely be Poppy's mummy. God knows how she stayed alive in the Playtime Company factory for a decade though, which means it might be more likely that Poppy's mummy is instead Kissy Missy. Kissy Missy is a lot like Huggy Wuggy. She's got long arms, long legs, and a big old mouth, but is pink and likes kissing instead of hugging. Meaning we have some kind of kissing, killing animation to look forward to. Yay! Kissy Missy comes across as the same kind of mascot for Playtime that Huggy Wuggy was, as she's all over the factory walls and their promotional posters. So, I'm betting there's a large version of her patrolling the Playtime Company factory just like Huggy Wuggy did. That is, assuming Huggy Wuggy is dead. Mothers are typically associated with loving embraces and adoration, so with Kissy Missy being all about kissing and such, it would track that Poppy sees her as her mother, or has been conditioned to do so. Poppy could even truly believe that she's a real girl with a real long mother, which is just messed up enough to fit perfectly in the Poppy Playtime lore. Mummy is almost certainly going to be the main antagonist of Chapter 2 then, with you going through this door to explore whatever the hell awaits behind it and get closer to finding all those employees that disappeared 10 years ago. Far from being the only thing you need to worry about, however, there are other toys in Chapter 2 which might have issues with you delving deeper into the factory. We've already seen one of them in action, sort of. On the Playtime Company CCTV, a broken, bleeding Catbee toy appeared on one of the security cameras before being replaced by bloody drag marks a couple of days later, implying it had been dragged away by something. Huggy Wuggy is missing from the central pedestal in the foyer on the CCTV, so what we're seeing is being recorded after the events of Chapter 1. Unless Huggy Wuggy has come back from the dead, this is an entirely new creature who's patrolling the Playtime factory. Catbee might have got there because it was trying to escape or seeking help for its wounds, with something deciding that, nah, that wasn't going to happen under their watch. Either Kissy Missy is the one keeping toys from escaping, or it's something else entirely. That something else might be Bron. In the trailer for Chapter 1, we saw this Bron toy's head turning with missing eyes, potentially implying it's blind. I can just smell the game mechanics here. You could have to stay quiet to make sure it can't find out where you are, but anyway, before I get too deep into that, we didn't actually see Bron in Chapter 1. People have discovered plenty of cut content in the game files, but Bron isn't among any of them, so I would bet he's going to be in Chapter 2 as a kind of sentinel or something. Hence why he could be the one dragging Catbee out of the view of the CCTV cameras. Speaking of cut content, one of the most intriguing sections that didn't end up being in Chapter 1 was this doll assembly line. With Poppy being a doll herself, obviously, this could be where she was created, or a glimpse of the innovation department where they assemble Poppy, and whatever the hell goes into her to make those eyes oh so realistic. I'd expect some kind of lab to be behind the door in Poppy's room. However, this doll section could be waiting behind the door too. There's also these scratched out portraits under the map which look like defaced employee photos. Yeah, these could have just been cut, but they could also pop up in the future in one of the employee-only areas after it was overrun with toys. If I were them, I'd also want to deface the images of the people who had forced me into such a hellish existence. Anyway, wow, that was a tangent, but going back to the innovation department, let's talk about its head, Leith Pierre. In this merch drop trailer, Leith mentions right at the end that he's got to do the VO for something called Longlegs.
Alright, I'm off. Are we done here? I'm on in 5 for that Longlegs commercial.
Now, this is a stretch, but either it was a prototype name for Huggy Wuggy, as he does have those long legs, but also, on the scientist tape, these skeletal figures are exceptionally long too. Could they be the hands of whatever creature is called Longlegs? Makes sense that if you have long legs, you have long fingers too. Just a thought about what other Playtime experiments/toys could appear in Chapter 2. I reckon each chapter is going to focus on one area of the factory, so as we have the innovation department, theatre, testing department and cafeteria left to explore, there might be another 3 or 4 chapters before Poppy Playtime is finished. Until then, there you go. That's my analysis of the Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 trailer. Who do you think is the mummy Poppy's referring to, and what do you think is going to happen in Chapter 2? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, thanks very much, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Eurogamer, as we have a new video out every single day. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go, so remember to stay hydrated, folks, and I'll see you next time.